Hi everyone. I think this is a commonly asked topic among many of my former students and including some of my ex-colleagues. So hi again, I'm Wildy Chia and I'm recording this for my YouTube channel, right? And the topic I'm presenting today I think is very relevant to job seekers, especially students that are still pursuing their studies today. And not just that, current accounting professionals, or maybe you could be a professional from any other trade. I think it's a important thing to understand the interview process so that you don't get disappointed. What are the appropriate things that you ought to do. Okay, of course, the this video is not meant to be a comprehensive, detailed instruction, guide on how to pass interviews. Okay, let's begin. So I had served as an interviewer in my previous career. I had been a hiring manager for various positions. I hired accounting executives and also HR executives. So I had quite a number of mid-level management staff as well as junior staff, including accounts assistants. So hiring became very much of my secondary work scope, right? And it was quite an interesting experience in my opinion because it was very different from accounting. In fact, my primary profession was in accounting, and the jobs that I held previously was all to head the finance function, right? So whenever I'm given the opportunity to hire, I always take pleasure in doing so because it gave me the opportunity to meet people of all sorts and backgrounds, and of course I met some of the most impressive and also the less impressive candidates, right? It taught me many lessons, like especially uh, how people present themselves, how like in a way, like say for example, how desperate people could appear to be when they need a job. Not surprising, but you also find that you have the other extreme where people take things for granted and they take it that we'll give them a job, if they come to us. And well, you have people of all sorts. So it was a rich experience, right? I also had come across very uh, desperate interviewees, and I feel quite, I mean, at times I feel quite uh, inspired because there are people who are so motivated and so driven to have the job that I feel so bad to reject them, right? But then again, uh, as an interviewer, as a hiring manager, one of the tough things we have to do is that you have to reject good candidates, I mean, even though they are very qualified, but then reject them for reasons such as, we just don't have that vacancy for them to join us, right? It had always been a very I mean, unpleasant experience when it comes to rejecting people, but it is also very difficult to make decisions about who to choose to join the company. So what did I look for? When I was first asked to help my company interview and hire staff, I would do a Google like what many interviewers would do, right? In fact, uh, there is this thing called a question list. I find that never really worked for me. I would actually write down some questions that on a piece of scrap paper, and hopefully it might be of use. But I realized that when when it comes to the actual interview, I don't really refer to that piece of paper. I ended up asking the questions which I think is appropriate. Right? It became very dynamic, when I go through the interview with the interviewee. So it is actually a very challenging process, not just for myself as the interviewer, but also very challenging for the interviewee because I'm not a conventional interviewer. I don't have a list of questions that I will ask. Right? I ask just about anything under the sun, right? And I tend to ask according to what I observe about the candidate, especially from the resume, right? So that's why what a well-written resume helps in a way because within that 1 hour or so, how does the interviewer get to know so much about the interviewee? So there are not many resource, and the only resource that the interviewer gets to access to is the resume, right? So for the interviewer, it's also just to reiterate that again, it's also quite difficult, very challenging to try to know a person, right? It's almost like trying to date and get to know a girl within like a span of 30 minutes, 1 hour. And we all know that how do you get to know a person within that short span of 30 minutes to 1 hour, right? The same thing for dating. How do you get to know a person on the first date? It doesn't work like that. But still, as interviewers, you try our very best within that 30 minutes to know as much as you can about the candidate. And that's where, if you're applying for a job, if you're, the interviewee, it makes it even more important for you to use that limited window to sell yourself. And if I can add the word, be very candid, right? Everything counts, especially the impression left behind, right? And give honest answer, be very honest about like, why do you leave the job? Well, you know what? You may feel that, oh, you had certain things that you couldn't share with the interviewer. Well, you know, being honest is important because if you're half honest, then interviewers can't have a good assessment of your suitability for the job, right? And many interviewees have the wrong impression that you need to lie about your job history. No, you don't really have to lie. You don't have to be so blatant in lying, but be honest about what you can do, right? That's where it helps the interviewer to understand a lot better, and that if you are the person for the job, then well, you get it, right? For me, I when I interview people, I tended to like to ask about the motivation to work, because my personal belief is that if I want to hire someone who can do the job, I'd rather hire a hungry person. Yes, a hungry person. Why would I want to hire a hungry person? Because people who are hungry would be driven to do work. Whereas, you know what, if you're going to hire someone that's satisfied with life and has no reason to work, you're going to have a lot of problems, like motivating him or her, right? So anyway, back to my point. And I like to hear answers like people are motivated to work because they have to pay for their new apartment, or having to care for their parents, or that they are the sole breadwinner. All these are very good reasons, I mean, as an interviewer, you feel very comforted that, oh great, I can trust that this candidate would be very committed to the job, at least for the next 12 months and longer, right? And motivation to work is also what keeps a person to the job. As interviewers, we hate to go through the process of hiring again just after we have hired someone. That's quite a time-consuming process. In fact, time-wasting to a large extent. So, why is motivation to work so important? Well, with motivation to work is, you can be sure as a hiring manager, at least for me, I can be very sure that this person will be there to continue working for the next 12 months or so, right? And motivation to work also shows much about a person, especially the maturity, right? It is also an indirect indicator of how likely the candidate will stay in the job if hired, right? And it shows other relevant considerations like dependability and any other character traits. As mentioned earlier on, the most important thing that I was looking for was to hire hungry people, right? I didn't think it was helpful to hire people who are already satisfied with their lives at that point in time. I wanted people who are hungry and ready to get the job done, right? And Charlie Munger ever said this, that incentive is a very powerful motivating force. So I wanted to have people who can be motivated. I didn't need to hire people who are less motivated, right? And that was me, and that was how I hired people. And I didn't really follow a standard textbook or manual, right? And it was just really fundamental. I just needed people who are motivated enough. After all, I have to explain to my bosses at the time that I picked so and so because I believe that this so and so is hungry enough for the job. So I can trust that he will do the job, and he wouldn't, job hop that soon. So, however, what didn't work for interviewees, you know, unfortunately, not all interviewees understand that talking bad about the former employers is a bad thing to do, and things like complaining about overtime, complaining about various other things. These are actually very negative things to talk about, And of course, that also contributed to certain decisions like us writing off certain candidates, however qualified they are. Well, so what doesn't count if there is any? Now, a well-written CV matters, but it's not the only thing, when it comes to scoring at an interview, right? A good presentation of what you can do is also not the only thing. How about experience? Is there anything that counts? What really counts is the honesty, right? The honesty about what you can do, right? And your motivation to work. That really matters above all. Uh, However, what I've mentioned is uh, my personal view is about how I would, you know, how I would carry out an interview as an interviewer, right? It varies from person to person, but bottom line is that to succeed in an interview, the main thing is to show the interviewer what you can do and why they shouldn't write you off, right? And that honesty is very important because honesty shows a lot about dependability of a person, right? When I hire someone, I do not want to be surprised by the fact that this person is dishonest, can't be trusted, and that defeats the point of about hiring a person, right? So I hope that that is useful sharing for you. And actually, I did a video on interviews early on, but I didn't have PowerPoint. But I thought that this would be a more appropriate format, to present my short sharing on interviews, right? And meantime, good luck to all of you out there who are looking for jobs. And it's not easy to find a job that you enjoy working, you know, that you enjoy a lot and you look forward to. I think I'm quite fortunate because the jobs that I have, maybe not jobs, but the work that I have typically are things that I enjoy doing a lot, and I don't really feel tired, I don't feel lethargy. I can keep going on and on, right? So anyway, meantime, good luck, and I hope that all of you out there who are looking for a job, you know, best of luck, and don't forget, be honest, be candid about what you can do, right? The employer is looking to hire a person with good character, good values. I presume that's the case for most interviewers. At least that's for me. I wanted people who are principled and have good values. And meantime, thank you for watching and look forward to share with you more in future to come. Thank you.